Hi, I'm Maria Flanagan, and this is the official first podcast. I did an introduction for the Happiness Playbook series, and I am in publication with Happiness is an Inside Job Playbook, which should be coming out within the next 30 to 60 days. You never know with publication. They're getting the design and everything together right now. But I did want to share a little bit with you guys. So I'm going to pause it and then I'm going to share a little bit about the book so you can see if it's something that would be helpful for you. Hi, we're back. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys is my book and just give you a sneak peek into what it's going to look like. So if you can decide, do you want to do digital? Do you want to do the hard copy? And so one of the reasons, here's the reviews, they're in, people were happy with it. One of the reasons that I suggest getting digital is if you want to play some of the YouTube and other things that I have on there. It'll take you to the links. But what I do think is helpful with the getting a hard copy is it is about processing. So I'm going to give you a lot of tools and techniques and talk about them, give you the reasons why they can help increase your levels of happiness. And then I'm going to give you tools to process and start using them to in daily life as daily practices to really start to see the effects. And again, it can take 30 to 90 days to change some of these habits, bad habits, limiting beliefs, things that might drag you down and be kind of keeping you from being able to hold and contain more joy, passion, and love in your life. And so, I talk about some things you've definitely heard of before: gratitude, having intention, manifesting, creating a workspace that you can do this and you're in ways to visualize and create that workspace. And there is so much about taking the time and space for you in order to start creating a life of purpose and manifesting and dreaming and visualizing and processing out old limiting beliefs. We need to take space. We need to have a process. We need to take time. And in a busy life, we can, especially raising children or going to school or running a business or just the day to day, right? We can get lost and we cannot prioritize ourselves. And the issue there is that we can hit burnout. And so it's so important to not just take self-care of massage and nail and hair, which I love to do, but it's also about taking space spiritually for the body, for the mind, to connect the two, to help, increase emotional intelligence, to help start getting our intuition on fire. And so I'm going to give you so many processes, in this book, and then pages to write and play in and get messy and creative, because we're all creative beings and we all have purpose. And sometimes we get lost in what we should do and what people pleasing and what people want from us, and we can lose ourselves to that. And really, there's so much joy in being your authentic self and being in your purpose, that this book can give you some tools to kind of come back to that, right? I love this one. You are the one you've been seeking. There's the Happy movie, which I love to watch, positive psychology all over the world of different countries, and who's really happy, right? It's not the people working all the time. It's not necessarily people with the most money. It's a lot to do with community. It's a lot to do with family. It's a lot to do with, the simple moments, right, in our lives. And so that's a great movie to watch. There's a great clip here. So again, the digital copy, you'll be able to click on, copy and paste these clicks and watch the videos. There's a really good poem in here about, you're the one you've been looking for, in that same theme. It's really touching. And then just moving out like stuff in your life that you no longer serves you. It could be relationships, it could be clutter, it could be old beliefs, it could be too much sugar in your diet, right? What are the things holding you back from feeling your best, from being your authentic self? And so here we go, and just giving you an idea, right, of all these different tools within the book and the pages to write on them, and get playful, start brainstorming, really start showing up for yourself, because we can really abandon ourselves, right? In our day-to-day lives, we can get lost in what we should and who we should be. And if we stop shitting on ourselves and we really just start to look at, what does make me happy? Am I even in my body most of the day? Right? Am I connected to my emotions? Because our emotions are our teachers. They give us wisdom. They help us mature. They help us to tap into intuition. They help us clear things out, or let us know that, there could be danger, or there could be things that we need to do, right? The fear of, providing that protection, and starting to even notice, where do I feel those emotions? How do I know what emotion I'm even feeling? And then even educating around, what are carried emotions, maybe from intergenerational trauma, maybe from past trauma that I haven't resolved. Do I need a therapist to do some evidence-based work, EMDR, CBT, somatic experiencing, to help move out old trauma so that I actually can, contain and feel more happiness? Because the trauma is going to keep us blocked. It's going to keep us in that go, 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 do, because feeling trauma, right? Feeling carried emotions of shame and things like that, that aren't really helpful. And we've got to move those things out. And so there's a lot of tools on how to do that, but I always recommend, finding a guide, a licensed practitioner, and maybe it's doing both the psychological work and also maybe some body work, right? So somatic experiencing therapists, some will do some touch work, but also massage therapists that are trained, in dealing with trauma, and can also be helpful to pair with a therapist. And so really starting to look at, what are my wants and needs, and what do I need to clear out to start feeling better? And so again, this book will give you processes on how to do that. Learning how to set boundaries, right? Teaching people how to treat us, right? Am I not setting boundaries to protect myself, right? Am I violating others' boundaries, right? Am I pushy? Am I, not listening to others, right? It's like really trying to figure out that fine line of like, where do I need to set boundaries? Where do I have to work on my internal boundaries? And learning, more about the self, so that, we are operating from a place of intuition, authenticity, being in our purpose. And a lot of times we can get lost. And so one of the things I did really want to talk about is something that I do, a workshop, and it's called the Empowerment Workshop. And it really is addressing childhood wounds. And it was trained by PM Melody, who's one of the, excuse me, senior fellows at the Meadows, and it's called post-induction therapy. And so one of the pieces that I use in my workshop is that, and to help people start to go back and look at, where were my belief systems about myself formed, and what traumas, what things happened, right, that really made me think that maybe I don't fit in, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy or deserving, or or I'm not safe even, right? When did that start? And so this work is really powerful and beautiful, and it's over, I do individually, so usually over 3 days. The Meadows still has their inpatient workshop survivors that they do it, and that they treat trauma addiction there. Also, they have Rio Retreat, which they do the survivors workshop for outpatient, and that's in groups, and that's very beneficial. Sometimes people like to do the work individually. It's very tailored that way. And for some people, their nervous system really like demands sort of having that like quieter space one-on-one. And some people can really benefit from a group, and that can be assessed by a PIT therapist, to give you referrals around that. But I think it's really important, right, to take a look at, where did these beliefs, where were they formed? One of the reasons I call my workshop the Empowerment Workshop is because it's very empowering when we really identify where that came from, and then we're able to get tools. And right, part of the workshop is learning the tools of, when am I really in my most authentic adult functioning self, and how can I rescue, right, that younger self from that place, right? And I'm doing that, right, with, yes, a guide, a facilitator, but I'm the one doing that. It's very powerful. And so there's a really great structure that, again, Pia Melody created, and I was so fortunate to work with her and be trained in that, and then also work with other workshop post-induction therapists to help train me to do it on my own. And again, I think it's so much about the collaboration, working together, finding the right fit, because not every therapist is the right for you, right? And so really figuring that out. And starting with what are these beliefs that I've been hanging on to, and why, right? Where did it come from and why are they so ingrained? And if I've been believing that I'm not good enough since I was little, or that I'm bad, or whatever it is, what are the tools? How do I undo some of this? And the work is very embedded in the subconscious and over time. And so we really use experiential methods to help move those out and to start, reprogramming, changing the brain, right, from this very deeper subconscious bottom up place. And talk therapy is wonderful. We're going to do psychoeducation in that as well, and learning about, boundaries and different roles in the family, and core issues that come from, these toxic environments around, really created from intergenerational trauma, right? It's not about blaming, right? It's not about, you did this to me, because we can't heal from that victim place. It's so much about figuring it out so we can do something about it. And when we start to heal, right, there's such a beautiful domino effect, right? That as we're healing, right, other people are noticing and wanting that too. And if I can do it, you can do it, right? If she can do it, he can do it. And so when we realize that we don't have to stay in these old patterns, right, these intergenerational trauma patterns, and then when we heal, we sort of generationally heal, because we're going to pass down a different dynamic and different ways of being to our children. And so these workshops are very powerful. And we just don't live in a world that's peaceful, right? We turn on our TVs, and if you've been a day in the world, right, and we, you're going to have some trauma. And even for those that, we want to protect our children, and people are homeschooling, and I think that's also beautiful, because you really want to like protect them. But again, they're going to go out in the workforce, and there's going to be bullying, there's going to be things. So we've really got to find ways to heal, right, to heal some of these things. And as we're empowered to do that, right, we have the power to do that ourselves. That really influences others, right? We can't change someone else, but when we change ourselves, it's very powerful. So I do highly recommend, if you're carrying some of these beliefs around yourself, to really look at, with a guide, a therapist, somebody licensed, to start looking at where did these beliefs come from. So thank you for joining me. And I just, wanted to give you that glimpse. So just again, the playbook is colorful, it's fun, it's, get messy, get empowered, take a deeper dive. It's a wonderful book to do with a coach and a therapist, alongside, like with you, to share, maybe even getting into groups and working together in it is wonderful. So families could do it together. I think there's just a lot of pieces of my work over, the last 12 to 15 years of really, working. I worked as a clinical director. I worked inpatient with trauma and addiction as a counselor. Eventually now I have my own practice, and I also do coaching, and I also supervise other therapists. So there's a lot that I want to share, and I think that this book is a great starting place. My next book is going to be working more around, the playbook with relationships. So like working on happiness in relationships. And so that's, in the works, as this Happiness is an Inside Job playbook is being published. Another thing I wanted to touch on is defining love, right? So really taking a look at, what is love? What was love shown to you? Am I lovable only when I'm, listening to my parents and doing what they want? Or, is love full of conditions? Or was I able to be my authentic self? Was I loved for who I am? Do I feel that? And I think a lot of times, if our parents didn't feel that themselves, it was probably pretty hard for them to have unconditional love as well, right? And for those of you who did get that, that's amazing, right? And I'm sure you're sharing it with your children. And again, sometimes we can love our children, more unconditionally than we were loved, because we intuitively know, right, that we needed more, that we needed that unconditional love. And maybe our parents thought they gave it that to us, and because they didn't have, anything to sort of compare, or have sort of that, oh, how am I loving with only conditions? Or, what is unconditional love, right? And love is not pain, love is not suffering, love is just, right, what is love? How does it feel, right? These beautiful moments when we feel just pure love, and it's not because of something we did, it's just because, right, just of who we are. So starting to be love, right? Loving ourselves unconditionally is where it starts, right? And so there's a lot of work in this book around also, there's here are some financial beliefs that can get us stuck, but also self-forgiveness, forgiving others, letting go of resentments, um, really being able to clear out old things, to allow our authentic self, our creativity, our um, to take to learn how to take care of our wants and needs, right? And again, there's ways to sort of look at, how am I doing with, play, sleep, exercise, relationships, just starting to get that inner observer on board and mindful about, hey, how can I be like the change, right? How can I be the change in my own life? What is it that I want more of or less of? Um, and really starting to honor our worth, that we're all worthy, that, that's something that we were born with. And if we believe that we're not, that's a limiting belief, right? That comes from trauma. And so starting to really challenge some of those so that we can be at peace within ourselves, so that we can be, more unconditionally loving. One of the things that I always say to my clients is do it as if, right? If I unconditionally love myself today, how would I be in the world? How would I handle this situation differently? Right. And then a big part too, I, did the somatic experiencing work, training, Dr. Peter Levine's traumahealing.org. You can look that up for therapists and also nurses and physical therapists and massage therapists. Like everybody can do those type of trainings that are sort of in this holistic world of a mind body, right? Spiritual healing, right? And what is God? What is spirituality? What do I believe in? What do I not believe in? And how does it support me? Starting to just really look at where can I get more support and receive more support, because there's this piece too of when we didn't have that love, we can really block it out. It could be right here, but we're not going to receive it, right? We're going to kind of, that's unfamiliar, that doesn't feel familiar, so we tend to, repeat patterns that feel more familiar, which could be abusive relationships. It could look like, being with people that don't validate us, or, just really starting to identify like, how am I maybe not setting myself up, right? And if I'm in an unconditional place of loving myself, like how would I set different boundaries, or how would I, be more receiving also when people are loving, right? And so just lots of experiential activities and processes in here, um, you know, communication, conflict resolution, really talking about how do I manage conflict? Do I shut down? Do I brace and fight, or am I able to stay in a place of calm where I can kind of look at all the things, all the options, all the different ways that I could handle it, and not feel that I'm alone, and seek consult and community. So important, so important that we're able to, to access this. And so as we're going, I just wanted to really kind of go through and I give you a reason, to purchase my book. There's so many great books out there. But if this is something that may be right for you, I so want to share it with you. And um, and again, really concluding with make space, right? Make space for your happiness. And when we have all these other things that we're doing, we may not be really allowing the conditions to receive that joy, that passion, that love, to be in our authentic self, to allow, our intuition to guide us to our purpose. And so really clearing out blocks and taking time and space and slowing down, right? And really looking at a holistic way, right? What am I eating? And am I moving my body? Am I connecting? Am I loving myself? Am I loving others? Or am I coming from a place of survival, right? And if I'm in sort of this fight, flight, freeze, and my regulation system is go, 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 and then crash, go, 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 and then crash, right? How is that also impacting my health over time, right? Because what we're doing on the daily, right? What we're doing over time, that's going to really affect our bottom line. That's really affecting our health. And so if we start going, whoa, like, maybe I need to, cut some things out. Maybe I need to look at my schedule, and, maybe I take a little more time in the morning, right? And I work it out with my work or my system, that I, do more exercise or eat better, just go a little slower. So when I land at work, I'm really present, and, when I'm taking that time so I can be the most efficient self. And when we're burnt out, when we're doing too much, right, we're also, that's going to affect others, that's going to affect our work, that's going to affect everything. So just being really mindful of how that shows up. So I just want to thank you for being here, for listening, for taking a look at my book. And I really hope you'll purchase it when it comes out, or share it with a friend. And if it helps you, share it with others. I'm really, this, was created from a course that I wrote during COVID, and um, it helped all my clients. So I thought, well, maybe I can formulate this into something that can help more people and reach more people. And so I put this together. And again, I always say, get more support, a guide, a therapist, a coach, somebody, who's licensed and developed and practiced and ethical, and really is there for you, right? Get a team, because, we weren't meant to do this life alone, right? We thrive in community. And I really think COVID taught us that, right? That when we were separated, when we were alone, we didn't do well, mental health, anxiety, depression was on the rise, just from us not being as connected in our communities. So again, I encourage, do the book with a group, do it with, your counselor, do it with your family. But it's just it's a tool for the world. And I really I thank you again, and I'm just excited to share with you. So I'm going to be doing more tailored podcasts, going through the different tools. And if there's certain topics that you want me to explore with you, please put it in the YouTube, reach out to me in the chat and let me know, because that I'm always open to developing new activities, new tools, new experiential methods for different topics. One of the things that is really coming up since the Me Too movement is really looking at, how am I being in the world, right, in relationship to new boundaries, and also women in the world, right, looking to equalize the power. But how do we shift, right, and find more equality as women in a patriarchal society. In the United States is where I live. I'm from Canada, so there as well. How do I shift into power, right? But as a woman, right? Like if I go into power with the same way that a man is being in power, right? And I'm trying to get equality by being like a man, well, is that really true to ourselves? So how do we find equality, but in a way that I'm my most authentic self? And what does it look like for me to have power, not just a woman, but just me, right? As opposed to another woman, or, or transgender, or whoever, right, we identify as. But what does power look like? And am I modeling and replicating what's the power system already is? Because then we're not bringing change, right? We're just doing the same thing, right? It doesn't matter, who you're inserting there, but how is it actually different, right? To have equality, but not the same, right? That we can be equal, but have our unique way to do things. And I think some of the shift in the world is going to come from that, and the evolution is going to come from that, not from coming into power from a place of I'm going to be like the power system is already in the structure and how it's been done, but how do I bring it into a place of peace, right? How can we have power leadership but from a peaceful place? And that, I think, is part of what we're evolving and trying to evolve into. At least I hope so. I think that there's some shifts that could really, really bring a lot of evolution and change throughout the world if we're allowing for some different structures. And I think I'm hopeful for that. So that's definitely a topic I'd love to explore more with you. But yeah, let me know what you're interested in, and things that you'd like me to talk about. I'm happy to do that. But thank you for coming and being with me today. I still don't have the exact launch date of the book, so I will keep you guys posted. And again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Bye for now.